Could it be that Attila with Ragnar is better than Attila Takeda? And if it is, I mean, that'd be freaking huge. You could rally cities with that. You could fight with it in the open field. So of course, it's time to go test. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and if you're subscribed to the channel, then you know I've been expertising some weird commanders, Ragnar and even Moctezuma, to try to figure out, is there a situation where they're really strong? And in my last Ragnar testing video, somebody said, hey, Chisgule, what if you test Attila with Ragnar? And I realized that Attila is a commander that really wants you to do normal attack damage. And Ragnar is a commander that really wants you to do normal attack damage. And I thought, yeah, that could work. So I reached out to Wardaddy Chad, and we went into an Ark of Osiris practice match. This is actually a really easy test to run. You take Attila, pair with Ragnar, and you run the combo. Then you do the same thing. You take Attila, you pair with Takeda, fight against the same march, and see which one does better. Now, just to remind you of their kits, though, Takeda's kit is very strong, although his active skill is maybe a little weak. So his active skill makes it so that you inflict a burn effect on the target. For the next 4 seconds, all your normal attacks have a 50% chance to deal 50% extra damage, and an extra damage can only trigger once every 2 seconds. It's very weird. And the expertise skill makes it so your normal attack damage is increased by 30% when you're hitting one of these targets that has a burning debuff on it. In addition, the second skill gives you 40% attack and 30% march speed. Well, 10% chance to trigger that anyways, which is still really good. And for 4 seconds after using Fierce as the Fire, you start healing. So that's your active skill. You heal 150 healing factor for the next 4 seconds. You get 40% defense. And this one's really good if you're getting targeted. It does nothing if you are not getting targeted. Well, it does very little anyways. Troops led by this commander take 5% reduced skill damage and have a 10% chance when attacked to reduce all incoming normal attack and counterattack damage by 25% for 3 seconds. Now, if we look at Ragnar, unfortunately for Ragnar, a lot of his kit isn't really relevant exactly for open field fighting. This skill over here makes it so you have 10% more damage when you're hitting cities, which is like not all that exciting. This skill over here makes it so you get 10% more rallied army capacity. So if you're rallying a city, that's good. Also, you get 10% more troop capacity in the field. But I'm mentioning all of this because we realized that Attila and Takeda is okay in the field. But what if Attila with Ragnar is really good at hitting a city? Because that's the situation where Ragnar gets the most punch. If Attila and Ragnar are even just equal to Attila Takeda in the open field, then they're going to be better than Attila Takeda for rallying a city, because you get 10% more damage there and you get more troop capacity. So if you're actually filling the rally, this is a really powerful effect. So with all that said, let's get a look at the testing and see how things hold up. What you're going to see on the screen is a series of battles where I fight a combo with Attila Ragnar, and then I fight it with Attila Takeda. And we used some meta combos, things like Skippy and Hana and Boudica and Isong. You get the idea. And Attila and Ragnar and Attila Takeda both lost pretty much every single battle, which is a little bit disappointing. Now, we've got roughly equivalent equipment here, so I'm not exactly sure why I was not performing as well. I'm running the Ottoman civilization, which is not giving me the right troop unit boost, and also a skill damage boost is completely irrelevant. So it's like I have no civilization bonus at all. So that certainly could be influencing the results. But the thing to look at is the differential. How many Sev wounds of differential is there? So, for example, Attila Ragnar versus Skippy Honda Tadakatsu. You look at the difference in the Sev wounds here on how many Sev wounds I take versus how many I inflict, and you compare that to the Attila Takeda. How many Sev wounds did they take versus inflict? So we lost pretty heavily here to the Skippy Honda Tadakatsu. Then, I mean, against the Joan Nevsky, yeah, this is just absolutely going to wreck. Attila Ragnar lost 42,000 to about 17,000. And then the Attila Takeda lost 40,000 to 15,000. I mean, this is pretty disappointing for Attila Takeda. I don't know what I could be doing wrong here. My talent build is fine. If we look over here, Attila Ragnar, 45,000 to 44,000. Okay. Against Chadsky's Boudica Honda, I did okay. But Chadsky's archer gear is not his strongest gear. It's still really good, but he is missing a few crits there and a few iconics. So if we get a look at the Attila Takeda, though, I mean, it's still also lost. And these results are actually pretty comparable. In fact, the important thing to note here as I go through these results is how close are they? How close is the Attila Ragnar result to the Attila Takeda result? 46,000 to 24,000 against Boudica Henry. That's Peace's archer gear here, which is really, really good. And then Attila Takeda, 42,000 to 20,000. These are very, very close results in terms of the differential of the Sev wounds. And we can look again. Attila Ragnar versus Boudica Honda for Wardaddy Chad, 45,000 to 37,000. And then over here, 43,000 to 40,000. So these are close results. We can actually get a look at exactly how close they are. Unfortunately, again, they lost every single time. So we take up the total difference of Sev wounds for every one of their losses. Okay, how much did they each lose by? And whichever one loses less on average is on average performing better. Okay, so the average number of losses across all the battle reports we did and all the tests here was 16,718 for Attila Ragnar and 14,370 for Attila Takeda. In other words, Attila Takeda performed better. Now, this is where I'm going to get a little bit nerdy to hypothesize as to whether or not for a city rally, perhaps Attila Ragnar could even up here. So if you look at the difference of those Sev wounds, remember it was 16,718 versus the 14,370. Attila Takeda performed slightly better, but they always still lost in these tests. That means that the Attila Ragnar lost by about 2,348 more than Attila Takeda. And that's about 16%. So Attila Ragnar lost by about 16% Sev wounds more than the Attila Takeda. So if that number holds true, and we make our way back to the commander screen over here, the question then becomes, is it possible that with the addition of the 10% all damage and the troop capacity that you could make up for that 16% loss? Now, these are some big assumptions that the tests that we did are representative of what it would be like to hit a city. I don't know that it is. But I'll tell you what, 16% of difference is close enough that I really want to fill up some Attila Ragnar rallies and hit some cities. Because I think it's close enough that you might not notice that much of a difference, and I want to give it a try. I actually think Attila Ragnar rallies could be fine. The advantage of an Attila Ragnar rally is if you are keeping it full. I really like this effect of increasing your troop capacity more than the healing that's on Takeda. If you know they're not going to swarm your rally, then the Ragnar is, again, a better choice because the Takeda has that anti-swarm when they're getting attacked. So for a rally, you don't think they're going to swarm, and you're going to fill it. I think that Attila Ragnar could actually be equivalent or maybe better than Attila Takeda. And the reason I really like the extra troop capacity over here is that we know the developers have said that there's an upper limit on how effective more troops are when you put them into a battle scenario. This is because when you fight against a really, really big army or city in particular, that's really what it is, they don't want it to like end the fight in one turn. So if you were rallying Baba, only so many of his troops are going to count for the normal attacks and the counterattacks. So this 10%, and also combined with KVK technology, gets you closer and closer, I think, to that limit of how many effective troops you can have. And you really want to be in that spot of maximizing your normal and counterattack damage, especially with a combo like Attila and Takeda, where that's really all they're doing. So I don't know. Could Attila Ragnar work? Yes. If you rallied with it, is there some way we could test, like, hey, for city rallies, how does Attila Ragnar compare to Attila Takeda? The only way you could test this is if you were running against a city that was like purposely filling their hospital. Okay, so, and then the hospital didn't overflow, and you rally them twice. So you'd have to find a player with a big enough hospital that you could rally them once, their hospital doesn't overflow, you use Attila Takeda, they heal up their hospital, you don't care that as a rallier you lost all those dead troops, and then you rally them again, and you compare the two results. But that's a situation that is really hard to come by. Who wants to lose all those troops? And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of troops for like a lot of players getting together in a rally. Like, I don't know about that. And it's a lot of resources. I thought about testing this in the expedition. And the problem with testing in the expedition is you don't get a report. Also, because of the troop capacity for the Ragnar, it's really hard to compare these. So what I'm talking about is you go over here and you'd, set the rallies. And I played around with this a little bit, and it's really hard to tell, okay, which one is better here, running the Attila Takeda versus the Attila Ragnar, because again, your initial troop capacity is just completely different. So you could look at the number of troops that you've lost, but that doesn't really make sense because Takeda is doing healing. So I didn't think that the sort of expedition game mode here was a great way to test, but the idea to run Attila Ragnar at all came from your feedback in the comments in my last video. So I would be very eager to see that. If you have any other thoughts or comments here, definitely let me know. So for those that haven't seen, this is what this looks like. And you just look at these units remaining up here. But I will point out one thing that also is kind of interesting, which is that if you were hitting a city, there is another commander you could pair with, and that is Attila Caesar, right? I mean, couldn't you do Attila Caesar? Why not? The only downside of Caesar for hitting cities specifically is that his troop capacity is more, but only for open field. And he's got some skill damage, which is reduced by the Attila. So I don't think Attila Caesar is quite as viable an option. And one thing that is really important, if you're going to play around with this game mode to do some testing for hitting cities, I found that when I did this repeatedly, there were different marches here that would sometimes engage and sometimes would not. So you need to have another march that you run up through this field to get the aggro on all these ads and pull it away from the rally. So the rally is consistently hitting the city in the same way every single time. There's a lot of nuance to actually using this mode. So in summary, in the open field, Attila with Ragnar did slightly worse than Attila Takeda, but because of that 10% all damage and troop capacity, it's possible that for city hitting, Attila Ragnar could be a cool rally, and I'm going to freaking use it this KVK, 100%. I'm going to do that. And you could then say Attila Caesar could be cool too, maybe for the open field, but I don't think that works as well for rallying cities, and I'm mostly interested in the rallying city part. I would have tested that, except you got to find a weird situation to be really happy with all those troops dying. You could say go test in Ark of Osiris, but as a reminder, Ark of Osiris counts as an outpost or something. It doesn't count as a city rally, so all those perks I don't think would apply in that game mode. So I don't think that would work. Certainly I could play around with that a little bit more and test it out. It's been a while since I've actually looked at trying to test by rallying a city in Ark of Osiris. If you want to see more information about Ragnar testing, I'll have a card right over here in the end screen. Also, in case you missed my video about Moctezuma, that was a really fun one. You're going to want to see that, and don't expertise him. Trust me, spoiler alert, but you can see that video in the end screen as well.